Okay, good evening, everybody. I don't even want to tell you how many attempts this has been now. The camera is not being my friend tonight. This is actually the first time it's actually been smooth enough to talk to it. What we're doing tonight is we are running through essentially a practice for those of you who don't have someone at home who, and I know this time of year it's so busy with families running all over, so if mom and dad aren't home and you need somebody to help you study, that's what I'm doing for you here tonight. Now, there are some things you were supposed to bring home and have ready. You should have your packet, which should include this sheet, which is your place board that you're going to put your cards down on. You should have your little baggie of cards, and you're going to need your notes to check. Because of the camera issues, I am not able to photograph final copies. So what we're going to try tonight is I'm going to give you, for example, an Explorer, and I'd like you to lay out their whole place card and then check it against your notes. Now, tomorrow what I'm going to do during the classes is I'm going to borrow one of the school cameras. I'm going to photograph your actual cards, which is kind of cool to get yours here on YouTube. And then when I come home tomorrow night, what I'll do is I'll load them right in with this video. It's the beauty of, hopefully, the editing materials we have here that we'll be able to do that. So for tonight, you're going to have to check it against your notes, which you were supposed to have done. We talked about that in class today, so hopefully you have those. So what we're going to do, quick reminder, you have your place card. I'm going to give you the name. So I might say Robert de La Salle. Okay, you'll say, okay, La Salle, no problem, Mr. V. Whoops, other side. I would put La Salle's picture, the card with his name, right here under Explorer. Right on, not pictures, I'm sorry, his name card. Right underneath that, I would put his sponsor nation, which would have been, hopefully you just said France. I'm not there to check you on it. France. And then down at the bottom, you're going to put his timeline. Now, quick reminder, timelines are more just to help you keep these Explorers in order. Again, there's only one date that I'm expecting you guys to have memorized. That is 1492. I also want to remind you, as you are laying them out, hopefully you'll hit pause after I'll give you the name of the person, and it'll sit there while you work on this. You need to talk to yourself. It's very important, guys. I know it looks foolish when I'm up there doing it for you, but there's a thought process to it. You're telling it like a story. You're saying, okay, this is Robert de La Salle. He was sponsored by France. Okay. His personal background, and then work your way across. Okay. Telling the story. You're going to tell me his background, list his motives, list his route of, or put the card down for his route of exploration. If you want to say where he explored, that's on those other cards we made today. You can pull those out and say, okay, where did he explore? And I might ask you that. And you would say, oh, yeah, he's the guy who explored the Mississippi. He went to form a settlement. He ended up in Texas where they starved to death, and his men finally thought he had lost his mind and wasn't leading anymore, and it led to his demise, truthfully. So tell the whole story, guys, because when you tell it like a story, you're going to remember it. If you just look at it, you're just putting it in your visual memory, and that's not enough. You want to say it. You want to hear it. You want to see it. If you really want, you can throw a piece of paper down and write it all down like a story, okay? The more you do with it, the more likely you are to remember it. All right, so like I said, we're going to photograph these tomorrow. So tonight you're going to be checking against your own notes. And then at the end, I have a few questions for you just to check how you're doing, okay? So to start here, and I'm just going to be going through it, so you're going to need to hit pause in between. I'm just going to randomly name an Explorer, and I'd like you then to lay out your place card, lay out the pieces, check it. And then, like I said, tomorrow I'm going to stop this tomorrow, and I'll take some photographs and we'll insert them. So here we go. Number one, let's see if you can do for me Hernan Cortez. Hernan Cortez. If you get stuck, use your notes or your book. Hit pause now. Okay. Hopefully you've unpaused and you have checked. Did it go well? It did or it didn't? I don't know. I can't see you. So hopefully it went well. All right, guys. Number two. Let's do them. Robert de La Salle. Robert de La Salle. Hit pause. Okay, how'd you do? Did you do well? If you didn't, we can always go back to them, do them again later. You can review the video, okay? Number 3. Let's do Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus. Okay, did it go well? Hopefully. All right. You're going to notice I'm not doing them in order for you, because if we do them in order, we just get used to them in order, and then as soon as something's not in the order we expect, then we're in trouble, okay? So mix it up a little. Let's see. Number 4 we're on. Let's do Juan Ponce de Leon. Juan Ponce de Leon. Hit pause. Okay, hopefully you're back. Did you check it? Was he okay? Yep, he's the guy from Florida, remember? Puerto Rico. He was the governor there, military commander. All right. Number 5. Here we go. Number 5, let's look at... let's do Coronado. Everybody's favorite guy there. Coronado. Not a nice man. Hit pause. Okay, very good. Hopefully that went well. Again, if not, go back and you can always redo the video here. Now I have to remember who I have done here. We have done, so far, we have done Cortez. We have done Columbus. We have done Ponce de Leon. We have not done this guy yet. Jacques Cartier. Jacques Cartier. Okay, hit pause. All right, are we back? Everything go okay? Good. All right, our next one, let's do one of my favorites, Henry Hudson. Henry Hudson. Now remember, with Henry Hudson, you have our only explorer that actually, he sailed for 2 countries. So that's a little hint there. If we can keep track. Oh, yeah. He sailed for 2 countries. Way you might remember it, Henry Hudson, HH. He sailed for 2 countries just like his initials are double. Okay? All right. Hit pause. Okay. Hopefully that went okay. And I know I've said okay a lot here tonight, haven't I? Well, maybe it is, because if it's okay, then we're doing well. All right, I believe we are on our last person. I will check here while you are looking at your next one. But we should be on John Cabot. John Cabot. And don't forget, John Cabot, like Columbus, did not sail for his home country. John Cabot is actually Giovanni Cubato. And that, of course, and I'm probably murdering that last name, but that is my best shot at it. Remember, he's actually an Italian who did not sail for Italy. None of our people sailed for Italy, even though 2 of them came from Italy. All right, so if you'll hit pause right now. Good. All righty, welcome back. How'd it go? We did Juan Ponce de Leon, Hernan Cortez, Henry Hudson, Francisco Coronado, John Cabot, Robert de La Salle, Jacques Cartier, and of course our first one should always be Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus, the first guy here. Well, all right, now I thought what I would do is just give you a little quick quiz here. After I ask the question, I'd like you to stop, hit pause again. Sorry, don't stop. Hit pause. Write down on a slip of paper somewhere what you think the answer is, and then go ahead and I'd like you to then unpause and I'll tell you what the answer was, all right? A little bit of practice, and then of course, this is our section that started at about 9 minutes, so if you need to go back and redo this one, you can go back to 9 minutes, all right? So, first question. What is a contagious disease? What is a contagious disease? Pause. Unpause. Contagious disease. Okay, did you put down it's a disease that is spread from person to person quickly through the air or through touch? That's what a contagious disease is. You can get it very rapidly. Remember, the Native Americans were very susceptible to these because they had never built any tolerances up to them. Number 2, what is the Northwest Passage? Northwest Passage. Hit pause. Unpaused, okay. Hopefully you put down the Northwest Passage was the route that we turned out was not real. It was an imaginary route through the North American continent to allow them to get from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. So it's that passage they thought existed. Several of our explorers died trying to find that. Number 3, conquistadors. Conquistadors. What are conquistadors? Hit pause. Okay, hopefully you're back. A conquistador, right? Spanish explorers during the 1500s who would often conquer native peoples in order to take their land or precious metals like gold and silver. And real quick here, think about this for, I guess, a number 4. Who were some of our conquistadors who we studied this chapter? We had a couple. Hit pause. And you're back. Okay. Wasn't Jacques Cartier, was he? No, he was French. Conquistadors is a Spanish word. So it wouldn't be Robert de La Salle. It would not be John Cabot. No, because he sailed for England, remember. Would it have been Francisco Coronado? Definitely. Hernán Cortés? Definitely. Juan Ponce de Leon? Definitely. Okay, I'm going to give you one more question per explorer because really we want to use anything we know about the explorers kind of as a hint as to how or rather what information we're looking for. So real quick, I'm going to ask you one piece, and these would come off your card. So if you get stuck, you can always check your cards. All right? This explorer in 1492 was the first explorer to come to the New World. Pause. Okay, that was an easy one. Christopher Columbus. We should know that one. All right, guys. So Christopher Columbus, he goes back in my pile. All right. Well, then, let's do this one. This gentleman actually made 2 trips to the New World. On the first one, he was the first man to actually explore the mainland. He landed in Canada and claimed it for England, even though he was not English. On his second trip, he made it down to the Chesapeake Bay, where his ship sank, and he was never heard from again. Who is he? Hit pause. There you go. All right, who is he? Still having problems focusing. John Cabot. Very good. All right, number 3. This gentleman actually sailed with Columbus on one of his trips. I believe it was the second one. When he arrived here, he lived in Hispaniola, where he got a job as a military commander. Later, he would conquer another island. Do you know what that island that is? Pause. Okay, you're back. Now, I'm going to continue with that question. Hopefully, you just said Puerto Rico, where he thought he was going to find gold because a Native American had a gold nugget there. There was no gold. He's made governor of Puerto Rico, but he hears about something in Florida that or rather off on this island to the north that would later become Florida. He will name it Florida. And he hears about something that's up there that really sparks his obsession. What is that? Pause. And we're back. Did you say the fountain of youth? You're right. So, of course, we're talking about who? Pause. That fellow right, still not focusing. That fellow right there. Juan Ponce de Leon. Very good. All righty, moving on. Well, there's all this information going on about this land to the west where there's all this gold. And one of the men finally really buys into this. And in 1519, he goes to the west to try to discover what this place is, and is there this gold and silver that all these natives have been talking about. And when he gets there, something's going on. He lands, and the natives bring him all this gold because they believed what? Pause. Okay, you're back. They believed that he was the god that had been prophesied to arrive that day to conquer them. So they gave this explorer tons of gold, but it turns out that's what he really wanted. Now, knowing they have the gold, he takes 2 attempts at defeating these Aztec Indians who live in Tenochtitlan, which is the city where the city of Mexico is today. It is their capital city. What does he do on his first attempt? Pause. Okay. Did you say that he captured their emperor and held him hostage for 6 months? You're right. He captures their emperor, holds him hostage for 6 months. When he and his men leave to go out and explore, when they get back to the city, they're attacked by the Aztecs. Filling their pockets with gold, they run to their ship. Many of his men drowning trying to get back to the vessel because they were so laden down with all the gold. He's not much of a soldier, so he returns a year later with, or excuse me, not a year later, but soon after that with a large number of soldiers who inform him the best thing to do is surround the city. By this time, the Native Americans, the Aztecs, are very sick and weak, and within 1 year, this explorer captures the Aztec capital, Tenochtitlan. Who is he? Pause. Did you say Hernan Cortez? You are correct. Very good. All right. Next one. This French explorer is the first French explorer to go up a certain waterway that he names after a saint in their culture because it's the day of that saint that they're celebrating. He goes 1,000 miles up the river called the St. Lawrence River, where he explores it, and then a few years later comes back and tries to form a settlement, which fails 2 winters in a row, so they go back home. And the French won't come back for 60 more years. Who is this explorer? Pause. Very good. Jacques Cartier. All right. Our next explorer, from 1540 to 1542, he wandered around in what is today Texas, Eastern California, New Mexico. He got up to Kansas. The Native Americans were greatly mistreated by him. But in the end, he actually ends up opening up that area for missionaries. So while he's a very evil man and considered one of the most vicious of the explorers, he never really is successful in his search for the 7 cities of gold, but he does, in the end, actually make it possible for missionaries to come in for the Native Americans. Who is he? Pause. Did you say Coronado? You got it. Okay, we only have 2 more to go, and then I'm going to let you go. Our next person is a French explorer. Or excuse me, I'm sorry, I have my wrong person. I'm out of order here. Hold on. Here we go. Not French, English. Our next explorer is an English explorer who actually sails for 2 different countries. The first time he sails for Holland, and he actually discovers a river that is named after him, which the Dutch then take possession of. And so the city of New Amsterdam, later New York, is built there. And then he is actually not thrown overboard, but put on board a ship and set a sail by his men when he thought he had found the Northwest Passage, which turned out to be a large bay that is also named after him. Who is this explorer? He's responsible for the Northeast. Henry Hudson. Very good. All right, our last gentleman, not the most lucky guy in the world. He raises the money to explore the Mississippi River, and he claims it for the French, the entire Mississippi from north to south. He then gets permission to form a settlement at the mouth of the Mississippi River in the Gulf of Mexico, which is a sign that the Spanish had weakened quite a bit by 1667, or actually this would have been by 1684, because earlier in the 1500s, you would never have been able to get into the Gulf of Mexico if you were French or English or Dutch. The Spanish controlled the water. So it tells you a lot about how much they had weakened. Well, he sails in there. He's going to form a settlement, but he misses the Gulf of Mexico, the mouth of the Mississippi River by about 400 miles. He ends up in what is today eastern Texas, where they begin to starve to death. He leads his men out into the wilderness to try to find food. They must have been in the middle of a drought. There is no food. And his men begin to think he's losing his mind. So that leads to his demise at the hands of his men. And many of them end up dying too because they just can't make that settlement go. There was no food in the area they were at. Who is that explorer? Pause. And you should have said Robert de La Salle. Very good. Okay, everyone. This will be a little longer tomorrow night when we get the pictures uploaded into it. We'll get those taken tomorrow. I'm kind of jazzed about using the kids' boards for this over mine anyways. And hopefully we'll have a camera at school that'll be a little more mobile and able to photograph and not be shaking all over. I'm a little concerned about this one as it is. So hopefully this uploaded well for you. Have a good evening. I'll catch you all tomorrow. Good luck.